Square Enix is not holding back this month when it comes to Final Fantasy VII and Rebirth. We are approaching a crazy time to be a Final Fantasy fan in general. Last week some big bombs were dropped and we're getting into the juicier details today. Brace yourselves everyone, this is the follow-up video you all have been waiting for. It has some pretty fire revelations you don't want to miss out on, but first hit that like button and get this video to over 2,000 likes and hit that subscribe button because I got you all covered on all things Final Fantasy VII related. Only 30% of you guys are currently subbed and you don't want to miss out on any of this stuff, so hit that notification bell and let's get this number higher. Now that being said, let's get into this video. On the top right, you can find part 1 of this video, which is the Famitsu interview with Nomura and Kitase. This way you can stay up to date on what's been going on. This video is talking about an interview from Dengeki, which involves Kitase and Nomura again. They come out asking Nomura about the titles for Remake's project. Since they are Remake, Reunion, and Rebirth, we can assume the next title also starts with an RE. Nomura responds back in a very interesting way, saying that all titles will share the FF7R abbreviation, and the third installment will also have an R. But he doesn't specifically say RE, which I'm sure it will be, and could just be a translation error. But if it's just an R word instead of RE, what do you guys think it will be? Comment below and let's get a discussion going. No, not that R word, okay? We get a repeat question from the Famitsu article about Sephiroth and Cloud walking, but Nomura's response here is very interesting. Since the announcement trailer was only a teaser without much info in it, the next trailer will be one that has more information, which will surely surprise all of you. Before we can comment on that, the interviewer then swings into a banger of a question, saying how at first glance it seems that Rebirth will have an open world. To which Nomura makes my sphincter tighten and he says, "We will explain that in the next info drop." Square, please don't tell us this. My hype levels are already through the roof and now I'm super nervous and uneasy, wondering when the hell is the next time we're expecting to hear more information about this game. Is it a month-to-month thing? Is this something that we're gonna have to wait till next year to hear about? Now I don't know, and I'm super paranoid for all major and minor events coming up. As if we weren't already previously doing that. If the next news drops, we'll explain things about the open world or open zones for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth while revealing more shocking information. I need to make sure I'm going to be home this time. I'm not leaving my house for the rest of this year and next year. The interviewer then asks if the same system from Remake will carry over into Rebirth. Nomura says that it will, because Remake serves as the base, and Rebirth will follow in continuing that. Which, to be honest, I expected it to remain the same while making improvements here and there, because the combat was borderline perfect. They just had a few things they needed to work out, and they damn near did it with Integrate and Yuffie's DLC. As you guys have heard me preach about nonstop, the lack of jumping and good aerial combat was a big complaint by fans all across the world. And in Yuffie's DLC, they completely fixed that. She does not leave the air for 1 second, and she can latch onto enemies very easily without a jump button. It's crazy. Going from 30 frames to 60 frames also allowed Tifa to not only cancel combos and feed teammates infinite ATB, it also allowed her to absolutely break the game. They even revamped the most useless materia in the original PS4 game, and made it amazing in PC and PS5 for Integrate. That materia being synergy materia. Not to mention the 60 frames inclusion definitely made the game much more responsive when it came to moving around and just inputting buttons. Using Remake as the base will ensure that Rebirth's development process as well as Part 3's will be very swift and smooth. Not to mention be an absolute blast to play through all over again. A few months ago, there was an interview where Kitase mentioned that they would be reworking the classic mode, so I'm hopeful to see exactly how do they do this. Because for what it was, I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit boring to play in classic. If they revamp it somehow, which is not possible, but somehow revamp it to a turn-based system to offer another way to enjoy the game while also changing up mechanics to suit it, I think the world will collectively lose their shit, myself as well. The interviewer then states that it's surprising to see that the next title will have released only about 3 years after Remake Part 1 was released. Nomura says it's quite fast when you consider the time it took to move the game onto the PS5 and PC for Remake Integrate. Kitase says that making Integrate after the Remake release had a huge impact on development. Because of this, they were able to shift resources to the PS5 and it allowed for a much more smoother development process for Rebirth, which is blowing his mind on how much scale they're able to get done at this rate and speed. I know there's always going to be those fans who still wish that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was continuing on PS4, but this is not the first time the devs have been stressing it to us that this move was necessary. While they may lose out on sales, many of you guys at least have almost 2 years to save up and buy a PS5. Please guys, I linked below in the comments some websites where you can register to get alerts, legit websites and retailers, and they'll tell you when PS5s are available. And it gives you enough time to make the purchase so you can actually get your hands on one at a legit retail price and not overpay scalpers. This is directly from PlayStation, and it's also directly from Amazon. I've gotten countless PS5s this way, and it's how our giveaways have been funded over the last few months. So please stop complaining and trying to buy it in store. You will not find them in store because employees and store managers are actually hiding the PS5s for themselves, and you're rarely going to find them inside of stores unless you check Best Buy every single day. Join our Discord as well, which is pinned in the comments for PS5 drop updates. But the move to PS5 and forward is necessary to create the highest quality of product they could without sacrificing and cutting corners like they had to do with the PlayStation 4. The amount of hyper-realism that Final Fantasy VII Remake aims to strive for the PS4 made them cut corners for things such as NPC models, graphical consistencies with the textures and skyboxes, as well as the hallway-like level design, which all of those things many fans made fun of and complained about countless times. So what do? They want to make sure that they don't complain and it doesn't happen again. And they put it out on better hardware to do that, to please the people who have been complaining. Hey, I mean, some of you guys asked for this by complaining and making memes about it on Reddit. Ultimately, next gen allows them to recreate the best game they possibly can for us, without compromising a high quality experience. The interviewer then asks if Cloud, Barret, and other characters will have their models changed, to which Nomura says, no, there will be no changes. However, they made some alterations to Yuffie's model from Intergrade, and some characters may have received small changes too, but nothing too dramatic. The interviewer then says they know many hope to see Red 13 as a playable character in Rebirth, to which Nomura says, please, yes, look forward to that. Hard confirming for those who for some reason still think Red 13 won't be playable in Rebirth, that he is in fact actually playable and to stop worrying about this. Finally, the interviewer asks what story portions will Rebirth cover when compared to the original game. Kitase says he cannot reveal the whole thing to them, but he can say that Rebirth will not be lacking any major events from the original game. Some locations may appear sooner in the story, or some might appear later in the story, as the chronological time of appearance might have shuffled around a bit. Nomura does add to this and assures us that they did not cut any segments from the story that the fans remember. Locations may have been moved, but it doesn't mean that those things are going to be deleted from the story. They will just appear later or earlier. This makes me wonder if this statement means that towns or story elements for Part 2 will have been moved to Part 3 instead, and vice versa for Part 3 to move things to Part 2. Or will we come across everything in Part 2, but it's just that elements such as Fort Condor's segment may appear later in the story than it did in the original game. This is a very interesting one to wonder about. I want to know what you guys think and how do you feel about these changes coming up. Is it just me, or are you guys also happy to finally see Final Fantasy VII Rebirth being talked about regularly from the devs? We've gone so long in the dark that it's finally such a breath of fresh air to see that they have lots that they want to talk to us about and for us to know. It honestly doesn't feel real. I feel like every single article I read that is directly from Nomura or Kitase, I have to like triple or quadruple check to make sure it's legit. It's just an exciting thing to finally see and no longer have to speculate and guess when we will hear more. Well, I'm speaking a bit too soon on that because we do have to do that for the next few events, because apparently during whatever event they have coming up, we will be finding out way more details for Rebirth, and some of it can be shocking and surprising us. From revealing combat elements, story stuff, and the possible open world, fingers crossed. We have many things to look forward to, and you don't want to be anywhere else, guys. So be sure to like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you are new. More Final Fantasy VII news is on the way, and you won't want to miss them. My name is BltzZ, and thanks for watching.